lot of you PC gamers have been asking about this specific gaming PC. On paper, it seems like a really good deal, but we're going to utilize our experience reviewing many gaming PCs over the past few years to help you decide if it's right for you in this extremely thorough and honest review of the HP Omen 45L. This configuration that we have here for you includes the most desired gaming GPU, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5090. I'm going to quickly take you through the unboxing and what's included, gaming and creator benchmarks, design and build quality, the internals, thermals, fan noise, overall ease of use, pricing breakdowns, and comparing its price to performance ratios against the competition, and my overall top likes and dislikes. If you ultimately decide against this PC after anything that I say in this video, just keep watching because I'm also going to be sharing with you some alternative PCs that I recommend for every budget. I'll also include links down below for all the products that I mentioned, as well as tag directly on this video or using a QR code if you're watching on a TV. I guarantee that by the end of this video, you will know if this PC is right for you or not. But if you still have any questions after watching this entire video, just shoot me a comment, and if you're publicly subscribed, I guarantee a personal response. All right, now let's rewind back into the past real quick and check out what came in the box. Opening the box, you can see we've got yet another box. I actually really appreciate when PCs come like this. Not sure if you saw my Corsair A7 500 review, but UPS did not treat that one well. Inside the second box, we've got some very basic and obvious setup instructions and some actually helpful port labeling info and your massive power cable. Now, design-wise, this might look familiar if you've seen the 4090 version. HP hasn't really reinvented the wheel here. What still makes this case stand out is its signature cryo chamber up at the top. This is an open external compartment that plays a big role in thermal performance. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a sec. On the front, the RGB lit Omen logo is embedded in a brushed metal frame that wraps around the edge of a tempered glass panel. It looks complex, but it's actually pretty easy to remove without any tools whenever you need to clean those dust filters. Getting into the internals is also really easy without any tools. Just one press of this internal access button and it pops right out. Dead center is the CPU cooling block. Using a liquid, this takes the heat that's generated from the CPU and routes it up through a pair of tubes into that top cryo chamber. And inside that is a triple fan radiator system that pulls in fresh cool air from below, blows it through the radiator to cool it down, and then blows that new hot air out the top. To the right of our CPU is our Kingston Fury Beast RGB DDR5 RAM. We got two 16GB sticks in here for a total of 32, which is more than enough for gaming and plenty to start for creators editing videos or running 3D apps. Underneath the CPU is the main drive that they include in this PC, which is a Western Digital black 1TB SSD. And when we tested this one, we got speeds of about 6,800 megabytes per second read and 5,200 write. These are about average speeds for a top tier prebuilt like this one, but most other prebuilts in this category have double the storage capacity as this one. 1 terabyte is just not that much anymore. And beneath that, the most important part of this PC, HP's version of the 5090 GPU. This thing is massive, and I actually kind of like the design. Just look how small it makes my MSI 5090 look. I do appreciate that they firmly secured it to the case with brackets on the front and on the back. The only downsides to that, though, is that it takes a lot longer to remove the GPU, and the brackets are not modular or adjustable. You can see here that in order to screw the bracket into the case, I had to leave that bracket unscrewed to the other GPU. Not a huge deal, as many gaming PCs don't have a GPU support bracket at all, but I do think it's very beneficial for the life of a 5090 GPU to have one. There's also one extra SSD slot behind the GPU for more high-speed storage if you want to upgrade in the future. It is a little disappointing that the way their proprietary motherboard is designed, that extra PCI slot is basically useless with a 5090 in here because it gets completely blocked. So absolutely no room for expansion cards. Then swinging around to the back and removing the back panel the same way you did the front, you can see right here we've got two additional 2.5" 4-inch SATA SSD slots for more high-speed storage, as well as 2 more traditional mechanical 3.5-inch hard drives in the bottom left. And lastly, in the bottom right corner, our non-modular HP 1200 watt 80 plus gold power supply. For the ports on the top, we've got dedicated headphone and microphone jacks, 4 USB-A's, and your power button. On the back, a clear CMOS button, 6 more USB-A's and 2 USB-C's. The top one also a Thunderbolt port with display output capabilities, an RJ45 Ethernet jack, microphone, line out, and line in. And then on the back of your 5090 GPU, 1 HDMI and 3 display ports. For the software, the main program that's always included with HP gaming PCs is an app called the Omen Gaming Hub. This is going to look very familiar if you've seen any of my other HP reviews, but with a few changes that I think you're going to like. We still have that same performance control section where you can switch between your different power modes depending on how much performance you're needing, or just balanced if you want your PC to decide what's best. Now this extreme mode right here was actually something that was grayed out at first. I actually had to go into the BIOS to manually allow that after what seemed to inform me that my warranty is at risk if anything breaks from this mode. I would just stay in performance mode if I were you. I actually did not get any better FPS with extreme mode on. Then below that we have those same thermal profiles that control how fast and therefore how loud your fans are when things are getting hot. Next to that, in this advanced performance tuning tab, you can further tweak your CPU and GPU and actually overclock your RAM without having to go into the BIOS. The lighting tab has the same controls from the previous Omen 45L with basic lighting, but if you like to party, this Omen Light Studio has much more RGB animations and customizations. This LCD tab is new and something that I think is actually pretty cool. This allows you complete customization over that CPU cooling block that I showed you earlier. You can use it to display system monitoring stats that you care the most about, a clock, GIF animations, or even your own video. And then within the BIOS, or as HP calls it, the Omen setup utility, for those of you who like to tweak things within the BIOS, I would not hold your breath with this PC. Probably the least amount of options to tweak in a BIOS that I've ever seen. Now when it came to the fan noise, I was actually pretty impressed. Only 41.2 decibels when gaming in performance mode. And as you can see in this chart, that's the quietest that I've ever seen during intense gaming. Now for the thermals of this PC, you can see in our thermal imaging time lapse from computer off to full on gaming that as usual, we do get some heat built up on the glass right next to the GPU. And then taking off the glass panel reveals a little bit more in detail where the hot spots are. This actually confirms that there aren't really any major concerns. If any of you have seen a couple of those cases on Reddit about GPU connectors melting because of close to 150 degrees Celsius temperatures, I can assure you that was not happening with this build, as you can see with this close-up. Also, disconnecting the connectors and inspecting them, you can see that there were no signs of melting either. The large majority of my testing was spent in actual gameplay though. These were our CPU temperatures for several different games at 1080p. You can see that even with the fans being quieter than average, we also got pretty cool temperatures for all the games that we tested. And then averaging all 1080p gaming temperatures data together on many of the recent past PCs that we've reviewed, this gives us an even better overall perspective on how it stacks up against the competition. And you can see here that it actually had the lowest CPU temperature at 1080p than all the other top tier PCs so far this year with 5090s. Then jumping into 4K gaming, I organized this chart by the GPU because high resolution gaming puts a lot more pressure on the GPU and eases up on the CPU. And here you can see that the 5090 temperatures in this PC was about average compared to the competition, which is pretty impressive considering it also had very quiet fans. And just for reference, here's a much more zoomed out comparison chart showing you where it stands compared to previous gen PCs that we've tested. Now for the good stuff, performance and gaming benchmarks. And up next, the most important part of this review, the price to performance ratios. For Cinebench R23, which simulates its 3D rendering power, we got a multi-core score of about 39,000. And putting it up next to all the others, you can see that this is pretty good, but actually the lowest that we've seen for an Intel 285K CPU. Out of precaution, HP seems to be holding back that CPU. The two best PCs that we've seen for this score were the Alienware Area 51 with the same CPU as this one, and that Skytech Legacy 4 with the new AMD 9950X 3D CPU. Another very helpful test for you 3D renderers is the V-Ray benchmark, and these were our CUDA, RTX, and overall V-Ray performance scores. Here you can see that it performed pretty similar to that Alienware Area 51, but a bit behind that i8 300 that we reviewed, and way behind that Skytech Legacy 4. This is a CPU-based GPU-based rendering test that demonstrates how well a PC can handle the more advanced realistic rendering that takes a lot longer to calculate. The GPU rendering score, though, is for those of you doing a lot of high polygon 3D modeling or real-time viewport rendering and lighting. And this chart right here shows how incredibly powerful that 5090 GPU is. Way above what you get from a PC with a 5080 GPU. For this specific test, though, not much of a difference between the PCs with 5090s. Our Adobe Premiere Fusion benchmark wasn't too exciting, though, with a score of only 15,723. Both the Corsair Vengeance i8300 and the Alienware Area 51 with the same CPU did better than this one. For 3D Mark, which is usually a pretty good benchmark used to predict a computer's overall game ability, you can see here that it was a little below average compared to other top-tier 5090 builds. I know, actual gaming benchmarks are probably what you guys care the most about, though. These were our average and 1% low FPS numbers that we got for several games at their highest preset settings at 1080p. This was honestly underwhelming for a top-tier gaming PC, but stay tuned for how it fares when factoring in the price to performance. Putting this up next to other current-gen PCs with 5090s and 5080s, you can see that overall, not very impressive for these specs. Since this resolution utilizes the CPU more, this shows that HP is holding back that CPU a bit. And then at 1440p, you can see that we're actually getting the worst of both worlds, an underperforming GPU and CPU. Together, very disappointing numbers at this resolution. At 4K gaming, since we start to rely heavily on that 5090 GPU and not so much on the CPU anymore, we do start to see some light at the end of the tunnel with better average FPS, but still significantly less than all the other top-tier pre-builds that we've tested so far this year. And these are the more specific 4K FPS numbers for each game. I also did a live benchmarks video that you should definitely check out if you're curious about what graphic settings that I used. Now, as far as factoring in the price to performance of this PC, right now at the time of this recording, this PC is going to cost you $4780, which is now the absolute lowest price that I've seen for a top-tier pre-built PC with a 5090. A lot of people are comparing this HP Omen 45L with that Alienware Area 51 that I reviewed. And between the two, I would honestly go with that Alienware Area 51. It's almost just as generously priced as this HP Omen 45L, but it also had much better performance and one of the highest price to performance ratios that I've seen for a 5090 PC. And in my opinion, a much cooler design. That Alienware also had 2 available PCIe slots, unlike only one with this HP that you actually can't even access because the GPU blocks it. Another even better option, though, would be that Skytech Prism 3 that I just reviewed with the 9800X3D CPU and 5090 GPU. That PC had the best 4K performance out of all the gaming PCs that I've ever reviewed. The one thing that Alienware PC has over the Skytech Prism 3, though, is better performance for creators because of the high core count. But as far as gaming, the Prism 3 is the best. And if you look here on the charts, it had the best price to performance value out of any 5090 gaming PC that we've seen yet. $4,800 is a really good price for a PC with the best CPU and GPU for gaming. Overall, my favorite things about this PC are its quieter than average fans, and most importantly, that price. But the main thing that I didn't like about this PC, and it's a big one, it's subpar gaming performance compared to its competition. If everything that I've mentioned so far is just too much PC for you, or understandably outside of your budget, then these are my recommendations for every budget. Make sure to check out my continuously updated links list below, or tag directly on this video, or using a QR code if you're watching on a TV. You do not want to get the wrong version of these computers that I'm about to show you. If your budget is closer to $3,000, then I would get this Skytech King 95 with a 9800X3D and 5080 GPU. I really liked this one when I reviewed it, and this version that I'm recommending today is about 3 times faster than that one. But if you like the peace of mind of a 2-year warranty and extended return period, then if I were you, I'd stick with the 5080 version of the Vengeance A7500 that I just recently reviewed for about $3,500. If you need to be closer to $2,000, then your best bet would definitely be that AVG PC Whirlwind that I just recently reviewed with AMD's new 9070 XT GPU. As more of a budget-friendly PC, it's not the fastest overall by any means, but this one actually had the absolute best price-to-performance ratio that we've ever seen at every resolution. It's in really high demand right now, so if it goes back out of stock again, then I would get this Skytech Omega also with AMD's new 9070 XT GPU, as well as a 7800 X3D CPU. This one's going to perform slightly better than that AVG PC, it's just a little bit more expensive. If you absolutely have to be under $1,000, or you're just now getting into gaming PCs, and you want your graphics to at least match that of a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, then a semi-decent option would be this ABS Cyclone Aqua for about $900. That's the bare minimum that I would recommend for semi-decent graphics settings though. Now, if you do decide to purchase this PC or any of the others that I mentioned, then please remember to use my affiliate links in the comments and description below, or tag directly on this video, or using a QR code if you're watching on a TV, as I get a small commission at no cost to you for every single purchase made. And it's actually a major factor in keeping this channel going and getting better and better for you. I'd also like to thank all of my members for their monthly support of this channel. Yes, PC gaming is awesome, but trust me, please do not let it take over your life. What helps me mentally is staying active, eating healthy, getting outside, and spending more time with my family. Also, reading the Bible at least 4 times a week has been shown to massively improve your mental health, and I can attest to that. And if you're a little skeptical about the Bible, then check out the book or documentary, The Case for Christ.